Hey, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Sports Insiders. I am the sniper. This is the sports agent himself, Sean Russey, and it feels good to be back. We were at Radio Row we were in San Francisco all last week. Of course, part of Radio Row and other events covering Super Bowl 60. A lot of our material is on our social media platforms, so be sure the website is coming up soon. We're definitely going to pitch that out to you guys. But for right now, you can go on our social media platforms, those of us who know us, but also at Sideline Sports on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and on TikTok as well. I'm on TikTok on Unconventional King 13, James Tatum 12. Also, find JB Ellis and John Shear, and also Will Peralta Media. And you can go and get a head start and take a look at some of all of our material. But yeah, before we get, and ironically, tonight's episode is about the Super Bowl, and that is the final numbers. But before we get started, Sean, how you doing, man?
No, everything's going good, man. How are you?
Doing pretty good, man. Just kind of decompressing from the week that we had behind us. But we'll go ahead and knock this out real quick. And that is our Super Bowl 60 final numbers. So, coming from the numbers guru himself, Sean Russey, he tailored together the final numbers for as far as the viewership and such from Super Bowl 60. So, the average viewership was actually 124.9 million viewers. This is during the game. It is the second most watched Super Bowl ever. The peak viewership was at 137.8 million viewers in the second quarter. Now, that's the highest quarter hour audience in U.S. television history, not just Super Bowl history, TV history. Now, the combined household rating was at 39.4 with a 79 share. That means 79% of televisions in the United States were tuned in. Now, comparison to last year is down slightly from 127.7 million viewers for Super Bowl 59, that being the most watched Super Bowl of all time. That was in 2025. I mean, what can I say? I think, Sean, I think what happened was once people got word that Mahomes was getting his ass whooped, more and more people tuned in because everybody wanted to see him lose. But if you want to give your thoughts about the numbers for Super Bowl 60.
Yeah, I mean, I so for me, especially the average viewership number, that's kind of like the a position player getting the highest contract for about 2 days. So next year we'll have the second or first most watched, average viewership. The number always seems to climb a little bit. So, but the second quarter really is where the game was the most interesting. And like you said, it peaked and it hit the highest quarter hour in TV history, which they haven't obviously done in 60 Super Bowls. But I think that's because the game was 3-0, 6-0 at the time. People kind of expected that. I don't think people really expected the blowout coming that we got at the end there. But I think that's when people kind of started tuning out, and that's why the average viewership led it to only the second most watched. Or it probably would have topped last year's ratings.
Yeah.
And then you could probably chunk some of that 3 million down for a good handful of Kansas City and Philadelphia fans that probably just were not tuning into that game.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. As far as it going down, you want to know what's so crazy is even if it lost viewership right around the third quarter, dude, it was like the mid to late third quarter, and it was only 12-0 Seattle. Like one
Yeah,
New England score, and they're back in it.
and I think it goes both ways, right? People were expecting that, and then they're like, okay, but Patriots are going to punch back eventually, right? And even at 12-0, it felt like 50-0.
It did, just because the Patriots just couldn't get anything going. Now the Seahawks did score that touchdown to go up 19-0, but then on the ensuing possession, you had the Patriots go right down the field and score, helped by a Seattle penalty. But they went right down the field and it was 19-7. Now I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, Patriots, here we go. Because the game's not over with yet. You still got ample time. If your defense can get a stop and get the ball back and go score again, now we have a ball game. Okay? And then May throws a terrible interception and pretty much was downhill from there.
Yeah, that was pretty much the icing right there. And then there was the two. All of a sudden, it's 26 or whatever it is. It's like, okay, game is over.
Yeah, pretty much, man. But no, awesome numbers that came in. Oh, hold on a second. How can I forget the halftime show ratings? So this had been the talk of the week. Was Bad Bunny at the Super Bowl? Compared to that other jackassery that was going on at Turning Pussy USA. But anyway, Um, some viewership numbers here for the average U.S. viewers for Bad Bunny's halftime show. 128.2 million viewers. Historically, it is among the top four most watched halftime shows ever. And the social media impact, approximately 4 billion social media views within 24 hours. Sean, take it away. Your thoughts about this?
Yeah, I mean, just imagine the revenue they're just getting from the clicks on social. Bad Bunny himself, the NFL, obviously that 4 billion is spread across more than those two accounts, but 4 billion views is absolutely insanity in 24 hours. But I thought it was a good show. I thought the NFL got what they expected. They got a clean show. They got something that was entertaining. It delivered a positive message, and it stayed away from a lot of the stuff the NFL doesn't want to put its head into.
Yeah.
I think Bad Bunny did a good job of giving them what they wanted. I know we don't do politics here. We're not going to start now. The people saying the other things, I think it's totally political, and it's unfortunate because it's kind of like wrestling and politics. Football and politics don't mix. Leave it alone.
Yeah. I mean, and the crazy part about it is this really did not have to get political. It really did not. Bad Bunny isn't he currently the most streamed artist in the world?
Yep,
So how do you
most
not
streamed, I
bring
believe,
him to
most downloaded.
yes more? So how do you not bring him to you? How do you fumble that bag, bro? How do you not bring him to your platform? The Super Bowl is the 1 to 2 or 3 biggest shows in sports any given year. I know my top two are always the Super Bowl and WrestleMania. It's always going to
Yep.
be the Super Bowl and WrestleMania. Now if others out there got the NBA Finals or the World Series or the Stanley Cup or Wimbledon or something, feel free. I'm all for it. It's just my two. It's typically the Super Bowl and WrestleMania. But you figure on platforms like that, how do you not bring in the biggest artists in the world?
No, and last year you had you Drake's op up there. Like it doesn't seem to me like either of these shows were bad. They just didn't sit well with a percentage of people that want to make a political thing out of it. You know,
Yeah.
Kendrick's show was good. It was the same way. There was a lot of people involved, a lot of people on the field. There was a stage. There was a lot of other theatrics going on. The couple in Bad Bunny's show was a real couple. They actually got married. So I mean,
Yes. Yes.
the NFL is allowing things to happen like this, but yet they still get some blowback. But I thought overall, to have 128.2 million viewers, you're right in the middle of the peak of where the game was and the low of where the average was.
Where the average was exactly. And you know what? To this point right here, soccer is way better. Okay, let's just take your point for example. I'll give you a big example, okay? The World Cup is literally in a few months. Okay? So you figure that's probably going to be the biggest spectacle of the year, if not three. Okay, let's say the top three of the year: Super Bowl 60, the Winter Olympics going on right now, and the World Cup. Let's say that's the three biggest. Okay, and say Bad Bunny didn't go to this Super Bowl and perform. Let's say they performed at the World Cup, which happened to be in the United States. How do you not invite them on? You know how
And
much money that makes.
you
Go
know
ahead,
what I
man.
think though, unfortunately, because it's more of an international thing, the reception would have been different, which is unfortunate.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. And so, but yeah, it was as far as that goes, it was among the top four most watched. The numbers you just absolutely cannot deny. But moving on here to actually the ticket sales and the attendance. So the confirmed attendance, 70,823 fans inside Levi Stadium. The secondary market get-in prices range approximately between 4,000 and 9,000 plus dollars, depending upon the timing of the platform. The premium and field level seats were listed at 10 grand plus per ticket. In some cases, question for you, Sean. If you didn't get this answer, it's fine. Do you know if the attendance this Super Bowl in Levi's was bigger than the last one?
I did not run the comparison on those numbers, but I believe it would have probably stated that this was the highest attended Super Bowl. I believe they fell short of that, but I believe this is the highest attended game at Levi's.
Okay.
Um, and this is the second Super Bowl now at Levi's because the year they opened, they had the Super Bowl there. I believe that number was about 68,000. So this topped that Super Bowl, which is I think it was about 10 years ago. I think it was Super Bowl 50 or 51 that was at Levi's.
It was 50. It
Um,
was Manning's final game.
Yeah, so and I think that was 68,000. So they topped that game. They topped any Niner playoff game that's been held in Levi's in the last 10 years, and that includes some NFC championship games. Um, so I mean, for a Levi's, they definitely set the Levi's attendance record.
They did. They did. And you know, one thing about it is they most definitely. Now I'm wondering. I'm wondering how much money it made in total for the Bay Area. You know what I mean? And I don't know how that quite gets distributed out. Does it go to the home team, or does some go to Oakland and San Jose? I'm not sure how that actually does, because it, it it was the Bay Area that was all in. I know us when we were there, like we had an event in Oakland, we had events in San Jose, we had events of course in San Francisco, over by Stanford University in San Mateo. You know, so we were kind of all over the place. So I'm guessing it's for the Bay Area, and I just wonder how that gets distributed out.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that it'll be interesting to see the numbers that come out that those cities picked up during that time.
Yes, yes, yes. So with that being said, we actually are going to move on to our next and last topic, NBA trades and more. So as of late, we had the Cleveland Cavaliers acquire James Harden from the Los Angeles Clippers in a blockbuster deal. The Washington Wizards got Anthony Davis from the Dallas Mavericks in a multiplayer trade, only for it to be announced that Anthony Davis is out for the rest of the season. You guessed it, with an injury. I'm sorry, bro's made of glass. It is what it is. He won't even suit up for the Wizards this year. Anyway, Golden State traded for Kristaps Porzingis. They sent Kaminga and Buddy Hield in the deal. I couldn't believe they got rid of Buddy Hield, but whatever. The Pacers acquired Zubac from the Clippers. The Celtics got Nikola Vucevic from the Bulls. The Wolves acquired Ayo Dosunmu from Chicago. And let's see, Phoenix, they landed Cole Anthony in a multi-team swap. The Charlotte Hornets got Mike Conley Jr. and Kobe White. It just seems like, Kobe White actually, his name was attached to the Rockets for a little bit, but they wanted, I think, Jabari Smith Jr. and I think a couple first or second, and Houston wasn't going for it. So instead, he ended up going to Charlotte. But you got a veteran guard and then another young guard. So the Charlotte Hornets should be definitely getting stronger from that. The Knicks traded for Jose Alvarado. The Lakers acquired Luke Kennard. And finally, the Memphis Grizzlies moved Jaren Jackson Jr. to the Jazz in a major front court shift. So, out of all of these, which one stands out to you the most, Sean?
I mean, so for a forward-looking deal, I mean, the Wizards essentially did what we all thought the Hawks were gonna do, which was go acquire Anthony Davis, injured or not, and pair him with Trey Young. Now the Wizards have both those guys, and the Wizards also shipped off Middleton and got rid of a bunch of salary. We know they picked up picks in the summer. It'd be interesting to see what happens. I don't know if Kyrie will follow Anthony, Davis there in the offseason. But Trey Young, Kyrie, and Anthony Davis is a good three to start with if you're Washington in terms of you're trying to re-jump that franchise.
Right.
Porzingis, I don't know if that moves the needle much as it's just the Warriors needed to get out of that drama with Kaminga. And there was a lot of back and forth in the media with him and Curry even leading up to the deadline. And, it's just one of those things where the situation had gotten too toxic. And obviously, they're not firing Kerr. So Kaminga had to go now. It had just become, too much of a situation where they're both commenting on the other's answers to questions in the media. And it's like, that's a locker room problem on top of it. And Butler's out. I mean, realistically, Golden State has a very outside chance of being contenders this season. Um, so I don't know. I think the Kristaps deal is actually more about them maybe wanting to move him or just be able to move his salary in the off season, because for me that it doesn't move the needle for them for this year. Um, and with Steph currently out now and not knowing how long he's out, even if it's just a week or two, that drastically is going to hurt Golden State's chances in terms of home court advantage for a round maybe. Um, but it's like Golden State it kind of needs a refresh here, and they did it to themselves with the luxury tax, and we're going to see other teams go through it, like the Knicks and the Timberwolves, um, the Lakers, of course. And that's why some of the minimal movement there, but they had been so good for so many years, but they did it by continuing to be in the luxury tax, and now this is what you kind of see by being in the tax for so long, you're essentially giving away two very good assets for one that you kind of hope plays 30 games.
Yeah.
And then the other deal, Vucevic to the Celtics. I mean, the Celtics, to me, that sets bells, kind of like we're looking at Monday at wrestling in terms of signals for Seth Rollins being healthy. To me, that says Jason Tatum may be back to the playoffs. I don't think you make that
Hmm.
move for an older Vucevic if Tatum is not coming back. So I think that the
Correct.
Celtics are obviously gearing up for a run. And Vucevic's offensive set, say what you want about his defense, obviously, but he's one of the top offensive centers down low. His
Hmm.
footwork is top five, in the league right now. And he's just crafty. He's very Vlade Divac for the old school guys. He's just crafty with the ball. He's even he's not as tall as Jokic, but he's got the same vision as him.
Hmm. Yeah. And we'll see. Oh, and what were your thoughts on James Harden going to the
You know,
Cavaliers?
yeah, I think it strengthens the Cavs. The East is obviously more wide open than it's even been that we thought in the offseason. We thought Atlanta would be in here. Now that Charlotte's made these couple moves, Charlotte is actually, pushing Miami and Orlando down there in the South for that division title now. Um, I think Atlanta with their moves will actually fall backwards, but Charlotte is about a game and a half, maybe 2 games back combined with Orlando and Miami. Charlotte can make some noise for the play in, so I like that move as well. But the Harden deal, I think, strengthens the Cavaliers, but I'm not sure it does enough for them to say pass the Knicks in a 7 game series.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of figure no matter what happened in the trade, the two teams that beat in the East pretty much are the Knicks or in Detroit. You know.
Yeah, and especially with the addition of Alvarado, I really like that because you're bringing in someone that one is going to pick up the point guard full court every time he's in the game. And just his steals and his energy is something the Knicks don't have on the roster really right now in terms of off the bench. I know they have Mikal Bridges in terms of defensive guys in the starting rotation, but to have a guy like that come in after Brunson, it's almost like it's like 1A and 1B now at point guard, and you're even getting a better defensive guard from your bench player.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, well, um, I mean, well, that's what's going on with the trades right now. It's something. Now, as far as who the Wizards, man, didn't they give up like three first? I did not understand that. I did not understand that one bit. Not for a guy that's made out of glass, you know. Um,
Yeah, it'll
and
be
just my
interesting to see. I think they're hoping that obviously it kind of if you look at the analytics, he gets hurt for 2 or 3 seasons and then plays one full one. I think they're hoping the one full one is next year. They pair him with Trey Young for a year and make some noise in the East. Um, but these teams now are giving away these draft picks, like water. We saw Orlando gave 4 picks for Desmond Bain a
yeah.
year ago. The Knicks gave 5 picks for Mikal Bridges.
Mm,
Um, they're giving away these picks like water, and with the NBA's rules now, they're giving away picks that are structured every other year. So you can do another deal and give up more picks and essentially be out of first round picks to like 2030, depending how deep in you go.
right. Right. And if that player doesn't stay healthy, like in Anthony Davis or whoever, then it would be all for nothing. And pretty much you're kind of looking at being in purgatory for the next 3 4 years.
Yeah, and I think maybe the Wizards kind of figured they were going to be there anyway, so why not take a swing at it? And the draft class is not as strong as it usually is coming out. That's that seems to be one of the drivers behind a lot of these teams making more moves than usual. I think the Hornets may have actually bought out Conley, but it was interesting to see the Hornets made like 4 or 5 separate deals to get where they wanted to be.
Hmm.
Um, and now they're gonna, like I said, they're gonna at least be annoying for the play-in. They're not a contender in the East. They're not knocking off the Knicks. They're not knocking off the Pistons. But they're gonna be an annoying little team for someone 4 through 6.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Kind of just yeah. Um, someone who is either a playing team or they just may be at worst the
Like I could see them giving the Sixers fits.
yeah. That's fair. Yep, that's fair. All right. Well. That actually is our show, ladies and gentlemen. We ran a little bit longer than expected, but check us out on all of our social media channels at Sideline Sports One, and we will see you all next week for more of the Sports Insiders.